Welcome to Forum 360. I'm Stephanie York, your host today. Thank you for joining us for a global outlook with a local view. With over 8,000 runners, 3,000 volunteers, and 120,000 spectators, the Akron Marathon literally takes over the city of Akron every year in a great way. Today we're here with Steve Marks, co-founder of the Akron Marathon, and Melissa Johnson, board chair of the Akron Marathon Race Series. And we will be talking about how the Akron Marathon has grown exponentially through the years, all while promoting health and fitness, stimulating our Northeast Ohio economy, and contributing to the greater Akron community. Thank you, Steve and Melissa, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Steve and Melissa, let's start by both of you telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and where you grew up, and your connection to the Akron Marathon. Start with, who wants to go first?
Or let Steve start.
Okay.
Well, I was born in Akron. I've lived in Akron from birth until today, so
Awesome.
I love Akron. I started a business, went to college at the University of Akron, started a business, and at some point during that process, my wife and I got involved and started the Akron Marathon through a family foundation. And I'm here today. That's 66 years of life right there.
All right. And you, Melissa?
So also grew up in Akron, went to the University of Akron.
Wow.
And lived in Akron.
Okay.
And worked in Akron. And so yes, in 2003 when Steve started the marathon, my husband and I thought, well, that'd be something fun to do.
Fun? Okay, we'll get back to that.
With it being the first year of the Akron Marathon, and both being from Akron, we
Sure.
wanted to be a part of something that was new and exciting in Akron that year.
That's awesome. So, Steve, you and your wife Janine founded the Akron Marathon. Mm-hmm. Whose idea was it? Truth.
I can't answer that without getting into a little bit of trouble, but no. So it's kind of a mutual decision. It's like, I couldn't do it without her approval,
Sure.
and she wouldn't do it without my approval. So the way it started, we had run in races before, and we wondered why didn't Akron have a marathon?
Right.
And so we, floated the idea to someone at City Hall, and the next thing you know, we're in the mayor's office talking about it, and we left that mayor's office in charge of a marathon.
Okay.
And so that's how it evolved back
Okay.
in 2003.
Very good. And you're board chair of the Akron Marathon. How did you first become involved? Was it the race the first time you came involved when you ran?
That would be the first time I became involved.
Yeah.
The year I ran it.
And then how did you end up as board chair throughout the years?
So first year led to the second year, led to the third year, led to it becoming an annual event that I participated in. And so then after participating in it, I also wanted to help out and give back a little bit, so started volunteering a little bit with the Akron
Sure.
Marathon. And then Steve, after having been involved with it for probably close to 10, 15 years, Steve asked me if I would help on the board.
She's being very modest.
Help.
She's running every single year and participated in some way in every year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
asking her was a pretty easy ask.
Sure. So running became important in your life at some point. Why is it so important?
Actually just because I feel better when I run.
Yeah.
And so coming to that realization of that, you just make it part of your day then when you feel like,
How many marathons have you run?
How many have I ran? 127.
Wow.
And Akron was my first.
That's
in 2003.
incredible.
I didn't know that was your first.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I regularly tell Steve that he changed my life. Because yes, Steve organized the Akron Marathon, and that was the first marathon that I ran.
We hear that a lot too
Yeah.
from
Sure.
people that have run the race, that we've changed their lives, and that's what could be more rewarding than hearing that?
I can't imagine anything. Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. The Akron Marathon debuted in 2003.
Right.
With 3,775 runners. I did my
like that
homework
you
a little
did your-
bit.
Okay.
That you know that.
And they participated in either the full marathon or the 5-person relay. And there were more than 3,000 volunteers. Tell me how you felt after that first race.
Well, you may recall that race. We had a train that came through in the middle of the race and stopped the runners, even though we had planned for that.
Sure.
But you know, that race was the culmination of just not one year. We had started the planning back in 2000 when we sent teams of volunteers to both the Pittsburgh Marathon and the Cincinnati Marathon and shadowed people that would be their same roles here in Akron. So we put a business plan together. We hired a race director and an operations director, and a lot of volunteers participated. A lot of committees were involved. So it took really 3-4 years before we were ready for that first year. So to answer your question, it was very gratifying to finish that first race. Even though we had a train come through, and of course the headline in the paper was "Train Derails Marathon." But it was still very rewarding.
Sure. And that was your first race. Did you run that race?
No,
as well?
I've only run one time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I hear Bill Rogers was there.
He was, but he actually broke his leg. He was going to run the race.
Oh my gosh.
And broke his leg like a month before, so he showed up in a wheelchair. So it was.
And Jay Leno?
Jay Leno was for entertainment, and we tried to. You had to run in the race in order to get a ticket to see Jay Leno at the Civic Theater, and so that was real exciting too.
Yeah. So, any other celebrities attend the races throughout the years that you can think of? Because those are pretty good gets.
Oh my gosh, lots.
Well,
let's see, Catherine Schweitzer, the very first woman to run the Boston Marathon.
Awesome.
She's come twice now for us.
Frank Shorter.
Mev Kufleski, who is the only athlete to have won the New York Marathon, the Boston Marathon, and an Olympic medal.
Wow.
He's visited us twice.
Right.
Kara Goucher.
I'm thinking of I see the names, but I can't think of it.
Dina Castor, who has set at least 8 women's running records. Oh my gosh.
Who's the woman who ran the LA Marathon, won the LA Marathon for the first time? I can't remember her name.
See, you guys need to make this list and put it on your website.
It is on the website. It is on the website.
I did not find that, but that's really cool that you have all these celebrities.
It is on. So we award an ambassador of running every year, and so that's someone who our committee feels has made a difference in the running community, and they get honored as a Akron Marathon ambassador. Maybe we need to make that bigger on the website.
Cool.
Everybody we just mentioned is won that award.
Yeah. Very good.
Joan Benet,
Joan Benet Samuelson. That's right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, she won in 1984 when they first Women's Olympics in LA, and she won that event.
That's
and so
awesome.
so she was our ambassador.
And many
others,
years, obviously.
Yeah. So the Akron Marathon has evolved over the years. Tell me about that, because it's no longer just a marathon, it's an entire race series. Can you walk us through that evolution, one of you?
So this was our, 2024 was the 10th anniversary of the series.
Okay.
So we've added a race in June, which is the 1 mile and an 8K, and then the Goodyear Half Marathon in August, leading up to the marquee event in September, which is the 5-person relay, the half marathon, and the marathon in September. And so each of those races allow for training to lead up to our event in September, but they can also be ran individually. Sure. So some people run all 3, and some people just run 1 or 2 of them.
And does the Akron Marathon have their own training programs for these if people want to start with the Akron Marathon and kind of follow the progression through the series?
Yeah, we do have a training program, but we try to evolve this series sort of natural progression. Once you do the 8K in June, you do the the 10K or half marathon in August, and then you're ready for the marathon. Some people do various parts of it. So.
What do you do for the couch to 5K people?
Well,
so there's a distance for everyone to run, especially our June event. Which is the 1 mile and the 8K. That one is very, and the one's on Friday and the one's on Saturday, and that one is very friendly for our first-time runners to participate in an event. The 5-person relay is another opportunity. The one in September has a distance for everybody to be able to run in, and then even there's the 10K with the half marathon in August that has a long enough time frame as well so there's a distance for everyone to try and.
And you have a kids fun run, don't you?
Yes.
Which is free.
Yes.
Which is awesome because
Yes.
that gets the little ones excited and maybe thinking about down the road, I want to do the big kids race.
And we've had people that have run in that race, the kids race, and eventually gone to run the marathon. So it's really exciting.
Those
our
are
minor
some
leagues.
fun stories.
Really
Those are some
cool.
fun stories. Yeah.
Was the kids fun run always there? Like was that at the beginning or was that added on?
Since your first year, yeah.
But, see, that's really cool.
Yeah,
so you could
cool.
have someone that started there, and
parents bring their kids. Sometimes sometimes one parent will take the kid to the race, and the other parent will run the actual marathon. So it's exciting too, and they can be part of it, and it's fun.
That's very fun. Yeah. So you had a special 100th run, didn't you? 100th race run. Where was that at?
So I finished that at Akron, and then I also that was my first marathon was in Akron, my 100th marathon was in Akron, and then my 120th.
That's very cool.
Was the same year that Akron's 20th. I ran my 120th the same year that was their 20th. So
So your husband races as well, I hear.
He does. He does. So that helps.
So who has ran the most marathons?
I have. not because he doesn't want to.
Just have to get it on the record.
But for the record,
right? For the record, right?
For the record.
Like the same as who started the Akron Marathon. I have to get it on the record.
And people ask me how many marathons I've run. I say one more than my wife. Which is not true, by the way. She's run more than me.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So I want to remind our viewers and those who have joined late that we're here with Melissa Johnson, board chair of the Akron Marathon Race Series, and Steve Marks, co-founder of the Akron Marathon. We were discussing the evolution of the Akron Marathon and what the marathon does for our community and the economy. So now we know that runners of all calibers can run in the Akron Marathon. It's some race during out the year and at some level, from 1 mile to 26.2 miles. It just sounds terrible to me, sorry. I'm not a runner. Unless someone's chasing me, then I'm running. Okay. So the community really supports the Akron Marathon. I mean, nobody cares that the streets have a blue line through it all year round, which is intriguing for those out-of-towners that come in and don't know anything about that. They're like, what is that? Was Akron just ready for an event like this? And are there plans to even expand it more?
Well, I think, the race is what it is because of the community. We couldn't have done what we've accomplished over these 23 years without both the city of Akron is very supportive, the people, our volunteers. We had sponsors since the very beginning. And this race, it's sort of a catch-22. You need the runners to get the sponsors, and you need the sponsors to get the runners.
Sure.
And everybody's been very collaborative in getting us to where we are. So, we couldn't be prouder with what we've accomplished over the long haul.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you think it's going to expand more to either more races or more divisions, or I'm just not sure?
I'd say as the board chair and the board, we're always looking for ways can we include more people?
Yeah.
And yes, we're very fortunate that the community really supports the event, including, as you mentioned, the 150,000 spectators, which is what it also takes for the runners and the volunteers. But we're always looking for ways that that everybody feels included and welcome at our event, and that we have a distance for them, so that they can experience. Because if you haven't experienced a start line at an Akron Marathon, it is like I call it like the Super Bowl of Akron.
Yeah.
Nothing gets you more excited and to be out there at the start of the run. And the excitement on race morning when you're lined up with all the other runners.
I experienced the finish line this year.
Finish line's pretty
That's
good.
pretty cool.
Finish line is
and
good
the
too.
announcer who was announcing the names of everybody coming, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like that they could catch people as they're coming down.
But the
I thought
start
that was
line
great.
is something real. I get chills.
Yeah.
And it's like,
magical.
it is magical. You see people's face go by, and it takes 12 minutes from the first person to leave the start line to the last person.
That's
so
incredible.
you see 12 minutes of people's faces, and it's exhilarating. It really is.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, tell me about the board makeup. I mean, it really seems to be a cross section of our community's movers and shakers. Like everybody wants to get involved in this, right? So you have people from all different aspects of the community.
That's the goal. That's the goal. So that we get a lot of feedback of. And just for different perspectives of what we can do with the event. Also, everyone who is on the board has volunteered in some capacity with the event throughout the year, so that they truly have a understanding of what it is that we do.
Yeah. So if they're not runners, they're volunteering and.
Yeah. And so that they see, so that they all help us work towards how can we make this a community event, a fun event, help raise awareness of health and wellness in the community. We try and it is. We have people who luckily we haven't had trouble finding anybody to help to want to serve
it's
serve
successful.
on the board.
Everybody speaks very highly of the marathon. I mean, it is one of the events of the year. So, so in Ann Bytong, your CEO, was she there from the inception?
Ann volunteered from the very beginning. Ann actually worked for me in my business, Main Street Gourmet, and so I knew the kind of caliber of employee she was. So she volunteered early on, and then there was an opening for our president, and she asked if I would consider her, and it was a natural. And her and actually another person co-shared the responsibility in the first couple of years, but Ann took over a lot.
She's done a great job.
Ann's incredible.
Ann's incredible.
She's everywhere.
Ann's incredible.
Yeah, she's really good.
Ann keeps us focused on that we want every runner to have the ultimate experience from the.
Well, that's important.
It really is, and Ann and the staff and she keeps the board, all of us focused on. This is what our goal is. We want that first-time runner to have the ultimate experience. And the ones who are coming back for the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd year.
Yeah.
Well, it's a business. I mean, we've treated this like a business. If our customers aren't happy, they're not going to come back.
Right.
So we really strive to make sure our customers are happy, and our customers are our runners.
Yeah.
And so we've taken that attitude from the very beginning.
Yeah. So what makes them so happy? What are the things that runners get?
You've run it 25 times.
Yeah. What makes you happy?
So she would be able to tell you.
Is it the stations? Is it the volunteers? Is it the atmosphere? Just the whole thing?
It would be all of that. But knowing that it's well organized, so you never worry that the 8 stations aren't going to be fully stocked.
Sure.
It's always started on time.
That's important.
Which is important.
I mean, you get there that early. You don't want to be waiting around too long.
Yeah. And then the entertainment out on the course. It's a well-marked course, a safe course, and then with the ultimate finish line, everything from packet pickup to when you cross that finish line is, every single detail is.
It's 1,000 little details that really go into it. I mean, it's as simple as on the bib it says your name.
Yeah.
So when you go by someone, they go, "Hey, Steve, way to go!" And they go, "How'd you know my name?" That kind of thing. So the blue line you mentioned, but there's so many things that we've tried to. Again, treat it like a business, try to improve each year, and try to improve the experience for the runners. Yeah.
So the race course start has changed a few times,
and
ends up back downtown though.
Yeah,
right?
It's always been downtown, but we started at the air dock in the very first year, but that wasn't really. I mean, there's been so much construction throughout any city, but Akron has had their share of construction, so we've had to work around that.
Sure.
We couldn't finish in the baseball field anymore because Major League Baseball moved their season, so that was always an impediment. But we still finish in downtown. And next year, I believe we're finishing at Lock 3.
The newly renovated.
Yeah, and that's hopefully that probably will be our home permanently. But it's still, we've had to adapt to our environment.
Yeah, it's a good finish because that way the runners and their spectators and their families can meet up and celebrate then at the end of the event.
So I heard this last course had 2 hills on it, and at mile 19 was the second hill.
There's hills everywhere.
I know, but a lot of marathon courses don't have big hills.
If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
You probably should train a little harder if you're complaining about the hills. But we have a very high percentage of people that run in our race that qualify for the Boston Marathon.
Right,
so,
right.
Every marathon is hard, but we have our share of hills, but we've tried to adapt it to make it the best we could.
Yeah. So the Akron Marathon brings a boost to Akron's economy, no doubt. Do you have any idea how many runners come from out of state or out of the country?
So in 2024, we had runners from 45 states and 8 countries.
Something like that.
Wow.
8 countries, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And with them come their families and their
we fill up
supporters.
virtually every hotel room in the Akron area because of the event. We have a $6 million economic benefit annually from the race. So yeah, and then there's the charities. The charities throughout the years have raised over, and between us and the charities, raised over $6 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah, last year was $250,000. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So what charities are involved with the Akron Marathon then?
Well, I mean, it could be any, you name them, they're probably involved. We've tried to lend our event to these charities that they can use, but we also donate to charities too. And our focus has been health and fitness. So.
Awesome.
And we have a fund at the Akron Community Foundation as well.
That's amazing. So the marathon wasn't the only successful thing you co-founded. Is that true? Your business.
Yes. Oh, I think it. Okay, yes.
I'm going to your business. Okay. Tell us about your day job before.
Well, not my day job anymore. I'm retired. Yeah. So I started a business in 1987. I was a CPA, and I really didn't want to be a CPA. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And along with my partner Harvey Nelson, we formed a business called Main Street Muffins that became Main Street Gourmet. And it's still very much alive and prospering. Yeah,
you were the Muffin Man. Yep, Everyone called you the Muffin Man. Yeah. That's how I was introduced to you, I think, way back when. So, what have you been doing since you retired?
I get that question a lot, and I have to think back. Like,
I think you did a video on a bow tie at one point. I remember that.
I invented a product that taught people how to tie a bow tie, because 99% of all males cannot tie a bow tie.
Yeah.
My son YouTubed. My son
My son YouTubed it. Like YouTubed how to tie, and so he knows how to tie one. But
yeah, it's very hard.
Very cool.
So I couldn't do it, and I figured out a way to like tape a bow tie, and that's how I figured out how to do it, and that became a little fledgling business. Anyway.
Wayne, you wrote a book.
Yes, I wrote a book as well.
Yeah. What's your book called?
The Muffin Man Chronicles.
See?
Available on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Awesome. There you go. There you go. Muffin Man. I love it.
Muffin Man Chronicles.
The Muffin Man Chronicles. Okay. Got it. And what do you do when you're not running?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. You're running everywhere else, right?
I've been very fortunate to run in a lot of places, but I also volunteer with First Tee.
Yes.
Working with kids in golf and trying to teach them some like life skills while they're playing the game of golf.
Yeah.
So I do a little bit of that. I also do some volunteer work with the First Ladies National Librarian Museum, another local gem down in Canton, Ohio. So I just think that they're a special organization, and they're a hidden gem in Canton, and just trying to help them raise some national awareness for what they're doing.
Yeah, well, and First Tee does like life skills, which I think when you start to train for a marathon, you're kind of doing the same thing. Yeah. I think of Girls on the Run is very similar. It's they're not a running program, there's life skill programs. Right. And I would imagine your beginners all the way up through are just developing themselves.
It's very similar. So like following a plan to run a marathon, and take some dedication and determination, and all your runs don't go as well as you expect them to, and so golf is very similar. Like teaching kids just some team building and integrity and sportsmanship.
So what's next? Columbus has a pump and run where they lift weights and run. Have you heard of that? The Arnold Pump and Run?
Yeah.
Are you ready to add weightlifting to the race series?
I don't think that's up for discussion. We hear there's a lot of like fad type. I'm not going to say that's a fad, but there's been a lot of things that have come up over the years that we've looked at and go, and then it's taken away some of our runners. But we really come back to. This is what we can do very well. What can we do great? And we know we can do these 3 events very well. And so we might, we'll be at another event at some point, maybe, but we got our hands full trying to do this right now. Yeah, people think we plan the day after the event. There's already planning going on for the next year. So and there's 7 full-time people that do nothing but focus on this race all year round. So
So what's been the most rewarding part of being involved in the Akron Marathon?
Most rewarding part, I would say seeing how it is a family event, and so seeing people who their whole family is involved, from volunteering to the runners to the cheering to the spectators, and so I think it just sometimes it doesn't just raise the health and wellness of the particular runner, it affects the whole family.
Yeah.
And so seeing how the event has grown.
Sure.
And just the people who went, also people who start out volunteering and then run on a relay team.
Right.
And some of them then go on to like run even the half marathon. And so being at the finish line, seeing
I've done the
people,
fun run once, or twice, or 3 times with the little kids when they were
We're
little.
going to be in the event sometime, I'm sure.
What's been your most rewarding takeaway from starting this whole thing?
It's sort of a culmination of things. So many people say that it's changed their lives, like I said earlier, and it's their happiest day in Akron. So there's been so many people that have thanked us, and it's been a reward for me. So I sort of feel guilty accepting the thanks, but just to hear people talk about the event is really, really rewarding.
It is the happiest day in Akron. I got to tell you, I've seen bands on lawns playing for the runners. Like, it's crazy.
I was able to actually sit in a car and do the whole course with the lead car, and to see all of the community come out is just exciting.
It's incredible. So thank you, Steve and Melissa, for the great discussion about the Akron Marathon. I'm not quite ready to lace up my shoes yet, but you can bet I'll be cheering on my son and my husband at the next race, which will be an Akron Marathon race. Thank you for all you do for our community. I certainly learned a lot today, and I know our viewers did too. Thank you for joining us today on Forum 360 for a global outlook with a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.